let's go back to page 10 on our outline. And this is about the dynamics of the ego. Now, it's funny talking about the dynamics of the ego because actually the ego doesn't have any dynamics. Well, the word dynamics implies that there's some sort of dynamics that are going on, some sort of energy thing. And seeing how there's no ego, it can't have dynamics. But it's still, we have to have dynamics of the ego. That's what Freud was spent most of his time talking about. Diana?
Isn't it true that in the text at some point it says that the ego, though, is a killer?
Is killer?
Is a killer?
Yeah,
and
probably
is
does.
Coming
Pardon?
that really wants to kill you. I mean,
yes.
That's dynamic.
Yes, it is.
I mean, so I was just thinking that's a contrast.
Right. No, but this is a mythology. That's all of it. But let's look. We'll read this passage to start. Pardon? Am I not on?
You're not on. Oh, you know what? I turned you off because I was tired of listening to it. So.
Right. All right.
Shake up.
Oh, we turn you off too.
You're on.
I am? Okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay. No one can escape from illusions unless he looks at them. That's been a theme that we've been going with here, right? For not looking is the way they are protected. There's no need to shrink from illusions, for they cannot be dangerous, because after all, they're an illusion. We are ready to look more closely at the ego's thought system because together we have the lamp that will dispel it. And since you realize you do not want it, you must be ready. Let us be very calm in doing this, for we are merely looking honestly for truth. The dynamic of the ego will be our lesson for a while, for we must look first to see beyond it. Since we've made it real, we will undo this error quietly together and then look beyond it to the truth. So one of Freud's greatest discoveries was the dynamics of the ego, and in particular, the utilization of ego defense mechanisms as a way of protecting ourselves. These come on so simply and so easily, beginning in childhood, whenever we need to defend. Probably the simplest defense, the first defense that we all learn how to utilize as children, and let's be honest about this, is called lying, right? I mean, mother steps into the room and says, "What happened here?" And you say, "You remember that?" I think the dog did that, right? So and what lying is hiding. And now the problem with lying and hiding is that it makes us feel guilty. And the reason it makes us feel guilty because it makes us feel separate. There's a saying that the word mother, it's a Jewish saying, that is the name for God in the hearts and minds of children. So if you lie, you just lied to God. I mean, when you lie to your mother as a little kid, right? If you're a little kid, you're lying to your mom. This is a big mistake. You really, really feel guilty about this now, right? Anytime, but the question the course is asking us is, what are you defending? That's a very important question. What are you defending and why? And why is it necessary for there to be a defense? Ultimately, there's nothing to defend, because ultimately there's no such thing as the ego. It doesn't even have any. It has zero reality. This is why we're afraid of dying. We're afraid of dying because we're afraid that it's going to mean the end of the ego, and it certainly is going to mean the end of the body, and the body's the ego's chosen home, so it's going to make the end of this primary form of identification that we have for the ego. But all the mystics tell us, the Course tells us, this is nothing. You lose nothing. In fact, it's just the opposite of this is true. there is such freedom. The Course is about freedom. It's about being free of a tyrant. And the ego is a tyrant. It's this thing which seems to dominate our minds all the time. So we're just looking to get free of a tyrant. We're afraid that nothing, if the ego dies, then there'll be nothing left. That's not true. When the ego dies, what's real can come to the fore, spirit itself, and the mask, the non-reality, the dream, the thing that we made up, we literally awaken from. We literally awaken from it. And who feels bad about waking up out of a nightmare? You know, the primary experience that we have when we awaken from a nightmare is we say, well, thank God that was nothing to that. That was just an illusion. There was no truth there at all. And so now what's really, really true can come to the fore. This is what's exciting. So you could say it's like we've all regressed. Or another word that we could say and use a lot is it's like we're sleeping. We have literally fallen asleep. And we're dreaming the dream of the ego's dream. And the dream is that it's real. And when you dream at night and you have those dreams, the events really do seem like they're occurring. So there's something that's really happening to someone, whoever that someone is, right? But there's nobody there. That's what the Course is telling. There's nobody there except a fictional character. Yes.
I think when we're talking about, John, I know you from years ago, Jim from Doctor.
Oh, hi, Jim.
Hi. We're projecting this.
Yes.
We're projecting.
Oh, yeah,
we're projecting this.
Yes.
We're creating this. This is the Big Bang happening over and over again in microseconds.
You could say that.
All right, this is and this is what we're trying to get in front of right now. We're trying to get in front of our thoughts that are chaos. These chaos, like quantum physics. So, in 1 microsecond I could be 9 years old in a memory, and the next second I'm looking for a truck that's almost going to hit me. I'm getting angry. All this chaos is coming. It's happening, but we are projecting it. And what I'm poising toward you is the fact, how can we have to get so good at this? We have to get so in front of this projection that we know that we're creating this projection, that we can get quiet enough to know this is us. We're doing this. We're projecting this. This is going out. It's scattering all around. It's very, very, very difficult to do. The road curves, but you go straight. It's very confusing and all that, but I would like you to speak to that, because the concepts, we love the concepts a lot. In us, we know this is all true. But what we were battling with this ego, we're still here in these bodies, and these egos, it's just like fire off in microseconds, your thoughts, and to get in front of that,
sure,
and get quiet enough to let it go. Mm-hmm. It seems like the Clydesdales. You had your analogy with the Clydesdale: forward, halt, reverse.
Right.
I'm constantly using that. Once I start, see, when you get angry, the cat gets out of the bag. It goes from anger to guilt. The whole cycle. We spin the whole cycle again. And the thing is to get in front of that cycle.
Right. Okay. I agree with you. Okay. So it's a process of gradually doing that. It's a learning. We're constantly learning. This is clear to you what you have to do. It's clear to all of us what we have to do. But first of all, we're doing is so no one can escape from illusions as he looks at them. So we're looking at the illusions. And actually, a good Course in Miracles student is looking more and more and more and more at illusions, and seeing their non-reality. Despite the fact that of their seeming reality all over the place.
The side I'm on is that we're projecting that illusion, and we have to take responsibility for that projection.
Okay, right, but keep in mind, it's always important, and I didn't make you up, okay? I make it my understanding of you, my interpretation of you. That's true in any particular case, and in all instances, If I'm seeing you as being angry, attacking, mean, whatever I'm throwing on you, then there's some misperception that's going on inside me. I'm not seeing you as my brother. I'm not seeing this wholeness that's there with it. It's a challenge. God knows it's a challenge to reverse this thinking process and go the other way with it. But you know, a phrase, I don't know exact phrases you just kept using, but one of the phrases where it was, but you were getting the quiet mind. To be able to have a quiet mind despite external circumstances that are going on. In other words, I'm not projecting on top of whatever it is that I'm seeing. I literally, my favorite quote from the Course, or one of them, let him be what it is, let the situation be what it is, seek not to make of love an enemy, leave things alone, don't mess with Mother Nature. I mean, don't push the river kind of stuff. But so a good Course student simply is practicing that discipline more and more and more and more and more and more. And more and more and more all the time, up to the point where there's literally nothing that takes the peace of God away from you. You cannot have the peace of God taken. And if you see it taken away from you, for a second, you immediately jump in there and say, why did I do that? Why did I let that happen? It's a long training process. Kim?
So I just want to make a simple statement of the obvious.
Okay.
This world is a hypnotic spell.
Yeah.
We are deeply hypnotized in it, and you're exactly right.
Right.
Are you doing the workbook lessons? It's a mind training. If you want out, this is something given by the master teacher, I believe, the best we could ever ask for. Jesus, who was recognized as the Christ, he gave this so that we can wake up. So are you doing the workbook lessons? Are you really practicing them? And then also throughout the day in all your affairs, to the best of your ability.
Not to make you feel guilty.
You know, yeah.
I've been doing the Course since '87, so I've been in and out of the Course. I did the Course a few times, and so I'm now reapplying it, and just bringing out this concept of how quick on the draw you got to be.
Oh yeah.
Like you got to be prepared. You got to be ready, and like
all the time.
Ego gets out of the bag real fast.
Real fast.
And I had times. We all had experience of great compassion when we feel it, and sometimes when you talk about these mystical experiences, I've seen people have these mystical experiences and then come apart afterwards. I don't see them always positive. It's a slow process. Everybody's doing their own process, but what I'm really talking about is how difficult this is, and how ready we have to be to control our thoughts.
You're absolutely right.
Before they get out.
Right. That's one of the things I've been emphasizing here.
So I just want to finish what I was saying. When you want peace, when you want to know God and the truth of yourself,
you will have it.
Like a drowning man wants that next breath, you will have it. And I also just want to say, just as an example, we all have a different process because we're all coming with a different mind package, karma package, whatever. And we work our way out of it from what we've gotten where we are. It took me 12 years, and I'm someone who, I went through phases of terrible anger, terrible despair, where I did not read the Course, passages, brief passages, but I have been studying this teaching like it's life and death for 16 years, numerous hours a day, 4 to 6 hours a day. I was doing the lessons. It took me 12 years to develop enough honesty for it to dawn on me that I wasn't practicing at all, that I wasn't applying anything at all, and that now, maybe, if I were truly willing, I could begin to have a new experience. And now it's a few years beyond that, and I'm still not at the level of true, complete, total practice, but it gets clearer and it gets better.
That's the main thing. It gets clearer, it gets better, and I love your emphasis on that. It needs a lot of faithfulness. It really does require a lot of hanging in there, and you're both right. It takes a long time. This is not a quick fix. First, it's not a quick fix primarily because, well, it took a long time to get into this mess in the first place. So it's not going to go away just like that. I had this experience once. This woman came to me. She'd heard about A Course in Miracles. So she came and for like a session. She wanted a book. I didn't have a book. I said, but I have some books coming, and I'll give you a book next week. And she came to this group I have up in the country 4 times. And then she quit. And she disappeared. And a couple of months later, I ran into her in a grocery store. And I said, are you still doing the Course in Miracles? And she says, oh no, that is way too slow. I need some answers now. Well, yes, of course, in her own time. You know, but I couldn't help but think, she was looking for magic. I didn't have any magic. I had some miracles, but I didn't have any magic, you know. But the miracles are the things that we have to come to on our own when we make this complete reversal in thinking process. Yeah, Lynn?
I'd like to share something on the subway. That's when I have a lot of my challenges.
Yeah.
But one time, this woman is sitting, a young woman sitting across from me and staring at me, like really angry looking. And I figured, you know, that's when Holy Spirit came to me. I smiled at her. She smiled back.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how often people want to smile back.
Yeah.
You know, it just takes such a simple demonstration of a little bit of kindness and a little bit of love to turn things. Yes, please.
I was in Dykeman Avenue. I'm a teacher, and we're having our prom, right? And I've been working a lot of hours. I still drink beer, so I was out, and I grew up in the streets of Philadelphia. So I went out. I like being around Hispanic culture because I grew up in that kind of culture and everything. So I was having this beer on a street corner. And I'm a teacher. It wasn't proper at all.
Right.
So a lot of guilt. Anyway, not too much. Not too much. I was really enjoying myself. The train was there. I was watching the people,
caught, right?
And a black woman was walking up the street with a cane. And I was just sitting there hanging out, and I was drinking the beer. And she walked up to me and she said, "Hello, hi." I said, "Hey, how are you, man? What's going on? Hi, hi." She said, "You know, I thought you weren't going to say hi to me. I was thinking this all the way up the street that you weren't going to say hi to me. And you did. You said hi to me." And it was just a beautiful, like, nice little brief thing.
Yeah.
She smiled at me.
How nice.
I smiled at her, and she went on her way.
So easy, right? I mean, it's so easy all over the place. Try walking around in a mall and just see if you can make eye contact with people. Just see who's willing to make eye contact with you. And if they are, then smile. And see what happens.
You know, another thing on the subway, like rush hour, everyone is, you know, packed in and you push me. But I found if you look at someone and smile and go, you know, you can relate. You know, everyone can relate to each other.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in this together.
That's all. It's really simple. I mean, we're so close to really wanting to be close. You know, that it's amazing that we're not, but we can find so many excuses not to be. All right. Well, let's just look at a little bit more of this, and then we'll look at our cards and we'll do a meditation. So let's go to page 13 at the top. The ego focuses on error and overlooks truth. It makes real every mistake it perceives, and with characteristic circular reasoning, it concludes that because of the mistake, consistent truth must be meaningless. The next step then is obvious. If consistent truth is meaningless, inconsistency must be true. Holding error clearly in your mind and protecting what it has made, the ego proceeds to the next step in its thought system. Error is real and truth is error. So this is just completely reversing this whole process so that we're not seeing error at all. Then I tell the joke about the naked man. And down to the other part from the Course on 13. This Course is perfectly clear. You believe it? It is. It's perfectly clear. And I think one of the things that you'll see as you do it is it gets clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer. So that there's like no sentences that are muddy at all. It's remarkable. And of course, nothing changes except your mind about the way you see the thing. It is because you are interpreting against it and therefore do not believe it. Right? And since belief determines perception, you do not perceive what it means and therefore do not accept it. So everything is determined by the way I choose to perceive it. Everything. It's choice. Choice is one of Ken's favorite, or decision. It's all decision. And that's all you. That's who the Course is talking to in the Course. Do you know what did I ever do the you thing with you?
No.
I'll do it with you. Go watch this.
Oh, that's great.
I went to the wrong section. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. It's impossible to go to the wrong section.
So extract the sentence.
Whatever you see becomes a proper subject for applying this idea. This is one of the workbook lessons. I should have opened to the text. Be sure that you do not question the suitability of anything for application to this idea. There are no exercises in judgment. Anything is suitable if you see it. Some of the things you may have emotionally charged meaning for you. The word that I was looking at there was you, right? Now I'm going to just do this. And I look at, and I read, you do not make what you remember, you merely accept what is already there. And I close it, and I open it, and I look down, and I read, fear not that you will be abruptly lifted up and hurled into reality. And I close it, and I open it, and I look down, and I read, the only part of your mind that has reality is the part that links you still with God. So you can do this time and time. You will always come up with a sentence with the word you in it. So it's talking to you. And the you that it's talking to, let's be clear who that you is. It's not your ego, right? It's talking to you, the mind that is the decision maker, and who is capable of making the choice, the right choice, until the choice has been made. This is the only choice that can be made, which is the choice for God. Once that choice is made, then the you that you thought you were disappears into the you that you are. The truth of the you that you really are, which is namely the Son of God. Beyond that, there is no other you at all. Shanti.
One of the things I was wondering about is...
Give her the mic
I
there.
haven't heard you say it, thanks very much, today. And it has to do with my understanding is that when I make these choices, I have a backup. I call it my Holy Spirit. I have really focused of late on developing a relationship with Holy Spirit. And hundreds of times, dozens of times, an infinite number of times, you can see this in the Course, anyway, in the text, that we're supposed to really train ourselves to recognize that even of myself, I can do nothing. Mm-hmm. And I might as well hang out with the most important person in the Trinity. I really mean that very seriously, and if you haven't tried it, do it. It's a very interesting experience. You know, it's the You want to take my place?
Actually. And then after Kim, we're going to look at the cards.
Last night I was listening to an audio which is available free on YouTube. It's an audio of the whole Course, including the preface written by Helen Schuckman. And in the early sections, the intro and all that, I heard, it really stuck with me, that the course, they were talking about why there's no author listed
Why
on the
there's no-
book. There's no author's name on the
Oh,
book.
okay, yeah,
and
go
they
ahead.
said it is intended that this not become a cult. The course is meant to set the student up in a relationship with their inner guide.
That's right.
So that's what you're talking about.
That's what Helen
Shanti.
said. Helen said that
Right,
very
so,
clearly.
so that's right in the very preface to the
Right.
teaching itself, that the whole point of this teaching is to establish within you a real, live,
Right.
living communication
Right.
within yourself with the voice for God. And I can assure you, when we listen to this voice and to us we're shown, it's a whole nother world.
That's why this is a self-study. And if you actually think about it, most of the people are just doing it on their own. I mean, a number of you may be involved in groups, or you may be doing it with a friend on the phone, or there's whole varieties of different ways of doing life. But on the whole, most people are just doing this on their own. They have no association. Now, we live in this great communication age where we got YouTube and everything else out there to be working with. So there's more and more, because it's a net. Actually, when the first, I remember one of the first things that happened after the course came out is the group started up. And when the group started, Helen and Bill were kind of surprised about it. They hadn't thought about groups. And I remember saying, well, it's just the most natural thing in the world. I mean, of course, people are going to want to sit down and talk about, what do you think this means? Because after all, it's also about sharing. And it's about sharing our joy and sharing our knowledge, right? So,
couldn't that be looked at, this is a self-study, this is not only an individual study, but it's a study about
literally yourself.
your ego?
Yeah.
What you think you are opposed to what you really are?
Right. As far as the cult thing is concerned, there's absolutely, I once upon a time used to teach sociology on the college level as well. You look up a definition of a cult, and it's an organization that gets formed around some sort of charismatic leader, in which people essentially do whatever that charismatic leader asks them to do, including giving them their money and things like that. There's no central organization in the course. There's no hierarchy in the course. And those of us who have been involved with it for a long time keep saying it shouldn't happen. I think as long as we keep saying it shouldn't happen, it won't happen.
Also, on that idea of what a cult is, it's also when it's formed intensely around a particular ideology or dogma, where it's separative and within the cult mentality, we are right and everybody else is
Right.
wrong. And the Course is very, very, very clear that this is a way, not the way. And if it's your way, you're going to know it, and you're not going to be able to get away from it. And it
No,
will
you
bring
can't get
you
away
down.
from it. I think that's the really good news about the course, though, is that, and I've said before, I think we all should feel really not conceited, but lucky. Blessed is a very good word, that we have such a clear path that's laid out for us. And we know that it's true, and we know it's true. We know it works, and because of the results that we get, right?
Can I?
Yes, you may.
This is, you've been giving these talks literally all over the world. I think you just came back from Denmark, and you've been to Colombia and Japan. And
Right.
maybe Brazil, I forget all the places you've been to. How is it being received in these other countries? For example, you just came back from Denmark.
Well, I think very excitedly. Depending on where you are, there's a lot of need, particularly because the church has failed so miserably, and so in Europe it's worse than it is here. I mean, in terms of its inability to help people, right? So we have this real need. Believe it or not, the third fastest selling edition of the course is in Chinese, right? So, here's a whole segment of a group of people who are really, really, really looking for some deep answers, some very bright people who need some very clear answers, and they can find it there. So, and in Germany, there's a lot of I think the fourth best-selling edition of the course is German, and that's like I was actually when I was in Copenhagen, Copenhagen's borders Germany, And they were talking about actually that it makes a lot of sense wherever there's that kind of a need. How about a few of you sharing your cards, and then I'll do a meditation. Just if it means something to you, that's whatever you got. Or you can also say why it was meaningful to you if you wanted to. Debbie, you got the mic, or you just have the mic. That's I see. Okay. Somebody start the ball. Oh, Samara.
To be in the kingdom is merely to focus your full attention on it.
See, now that's really important because in terms of what Kim was saying too, your full attention on it. See, what happened to Ken was he slipped. He was so full in his intention on it that's all there was. Yeah, Debbie?
No one can be unjust to you unless you have decided first to be unjust.
Now see, that's like this incredible profundity that's there, and how this reversal process works. Read it one more time.
No one can be unjust to you unless you have decided first to be unjust.
Give us
The page.
TP 540.
Okay, so okay. That's why Jesus can go to the cross and not suffer, because he doesn't see himself as being attacked, right? He doesn't see the injustice, right? He just sees, Father, forgive them. Billy?
Yeah, mine said, it cannot be that it is hard to do the task that Christ appointed you to do, since it is He who does it. I feel like.
Isn't that great? See, once you turn the process over, then you don't have to do anything. That's why a healed mind does not plan. It carries out the plan it receives. It's very important to do the second part. You can't. People sometimes just stop at the first phrase. Healed mind does not plan, but you got to do the second one. Healed mind does not plan. It carries out the plan it receives from wisdom, which is not its own. This is the wisdom which is not your own. A couple more. Lilikats.
Your interpretation.
Here's your. Okay.
Every interpretation you would lay upon a brother is senseless. Let the Holy Spirit show him to you and teach you both his love and his call for love. Neither his mind nor yours hold more than these two orders of thought.
So every interpretation, I'm just thinking about that. That's what this passage we read here a moment ago said. If you just have the slightest willingness to turn it over, right? Well, just, that every, just look at it, even the slightest kind of thing, and let it go. Okay, let's do a little meditation. So if you want to be quiet, close your eyes, sit comfortably, take a couple of deep breaths, relax, and be very present. God goes with me wherever I go. Deep within you is everything that's perfect, ready to radiate through you and out into the world. It will cure all sorrow and pain and fear and loss because it will heal the mind that thought these things were real and suffered out of its allegiance to them. God goes with me wherever I go. You can never be deprived of perfect holiness because its source goes with you wherever you go. You can never suffer because the source of all joy goes with you wherever you go. You can never be alone because the source of all life goes with you wherever you go. Nothing can destroy your peace of mind because God goes with you wherever you go. You do not believe all this because the truth is hidden deep within, under a heavy cloud of thoughts dense and obscuring. Let us try today to get past this dark and heavy cloud to the light beyond. If you become fearful at any time, in any way, for any reason, simply say, God goes with me wherever I go. Turn inward past all the idle thoughts of the world. Try to enter deeply into your own mind, keeping it clear of all thoughts that might divert your attention. Sink down and inward away from the world, all the foolish thoughts of the world. We are trying to reach past all these things. We are trying to leave appearances and approach reality. Say frequently today, God goes with me wherever I go. It's quite possible to reach God. In fact, it is very easy because it's the most natural thing in the world. You might say it's the only natural thing. God goes with me wherever I go. And then take a couple of deep breaths. Return to the room and open your eyes. So just a couple of things. One, for those of you who are interested, we have reservations at 4:45 at Saigon Market, which is a 93 University Place, which is just literally 3 blocks directly over on 12th Street. If you'd like to join us. Pardon? And turn to your left. And the next class is the 13th of July. And there will be no class in August because that's vacation time. And then we'll see you again in September. And if you want to sign up for that, that conference that's being held here in April, read the back of the sheet of paper. It gives you all the instructions on exactly how to do that, where to call, who to talk to, and to get signed up. At this point, you would have to come up with $125, but the total is $399. You'd have to have the total in by October 1st for the balance on that. Seeing how you live here in New York City, pardon?
Are you speaking there? You didn't say.
In some way, yes. I mean, I don't know whether I'm leading a workshop or doing an overall talk. And so is Jasko, and so is Larry, and so is David Fishman, who some of you may know David, who lives here in New York City as well. Okay. Thank you.